Okay, I think we're recording now, hopefully. I wanted to just get out to you folks this morning. You could probably see on the screen, if I'm doing this correctly, a very troubling headline being reported by the mainstream media about a FEMA employee who in South Florida or Florida put out a memo to her staff that they were to ignore homes after Hurricane Milton, I believe, hit Florida, who displayed a political preference through the signs that some folks put up during election season. And according to the article, I don't know if I could scroll it. Let's see if I can scroll down here. It says a Federal Emergency Management Agency employee has been removed from her role after she advised her disaster relief team to avoid homes with signs supporting President Donald Trump while canvassing in Florida in the aftermath of Hurricane Milton, the agency said Friday. A FEMA spokesman told CNN in a statement that the agency is deeply disturbed by this employee's actions and the incident is under investigation. The agency did not identify the employee naturally, right? So you see this and it's being reported. And as we talk about in Module 10, how organizations can affect ethical behavior, right? We talk about internal auditors or as internal auditors or external auditors, tone at the top. Well, what should be an agency's response? We mentioned this earlier in the term. From my years as a practitioner in accounting, finance, and administration, you need a head on a stick. If you don't punish bad behavior, it continues. It acts as a deterrent. You want to show mercy and grace all the time. Trust me, you do, right? Within the federal system, we do have a table of penalties. So, and the table of penalties is something that gradually leads up to termination for infractions over a period of time or depending upon the gravity of the infraction. So in cases such as this, though, it's pretty egregious. An oral reprimand might not be sufficient. You'd have to maybe talk about a suspension as a minimum without pay to get the point across. Why is this important? It's important because we're public servants, or we're supposed to be. And if you are playing favorites and your biases are leading you to play favorites, you shouldn't be in federal, state, or local public servants. That's nice to say, right? In reality, we know, especially at the local, municipal level, state level, patronage is definitely in play, at least in New Jersey, where I come from, and I would dare say everywhere else in the states that we embrace in this great United States of America. So if your party is in control, you're going to put people of like mind in control. But I can tell you in New Jersey what, because I go there often. I have family in New Jersey. My sister was in a nursing home, or actually assisted living, independent living to be exact. She'd slap my wrist. She didn't need assistance. But the people there that I know, and again, being from that area, in local politics, they would vote one way to keep their jobs, to keep certain people in power so they could keep their jobs. But for national elections or federal elections, shall we say, they would vote differently. It's all because you vote for your wallet, you vote for your pocketbook. But public servants should really care about the individual. Remember, I told you that when governments began in the Anglo-Saxon world and they started taking care of people under the social compact theory, happened in England, right? When the regular folks began uprising and saying, hey, look, we're farmers, but we're humans too. And then the generation of the Magna Carta, the king began giving rights to the people, saying, yes, it's only right that the people have these inalienable rights. Did we see government grow? And they were ministries. And when you look at the word minister, its etymological derivation is almost a medicinal, if you will. When a doctor ministers to his patients, government is supposed to minister to its people. So it's not in a religious sense at all. It's in a human caring sense of taking care of the people, making them well, keeping them well and healthy, that we see government in its mandate to the people should be acting as a physician would with their patients. So when you see cases like this, it's pretty disgusting, actually. And in the broader social compact or social context, excuse me, how do you think this played for the election? How do you think people view their elected representatives when federal, state, or municipal employees act a certain way? This is why the FEMA officials said they found this deeply troubling, because it is. So again, how do we ensure that things like this don't happen? We can't. We can try, we can strive. One of the things I've often said is you need to really be careful who you recruit. And I go back to when I was recruited into the Marine Corps. One of the things they do is they screen you, right, for certain things, certain attributes. And well, let's say that most people could probably make it into the Marine Corps, okay? Although I don't think that's the case. But let's say, by and large, you as an average person could join the Marine Corps. Well, then through recruit training, they would break you down psychologically, physically. They would break you down. And they used a whole different lot of techniques, or a whole different set of techniques to do that. One of them, of course, now I don't have to worry about hair, but they would shave everyone's head. You all became bald. You were all treated the same, like you were worthless. And they did this for a reason, to strip away your biases, to give you a new set of ethical values to live by. And once the drill instructors felt that you were malleable enough and that you believed in those core values and that you got up at 4:30 in the morning and you worked hard to prove to them that you were capable of embracing those and succeeding, and belief in the core's values, then did they say, okay, this is someone worthy to keep. So in essence, I think our platoon, we had at least a 35% attrition rate. So 1/3 of the people that were sent, were recruited, were sent back home. We had a senator's son who couldn't cut the training, thrown out. We had some people that just didn't fit in. So who are we recruiting? Do they have our entities or our organizational core values? Do they believe in the mission of the Marine Corps, or in FEMA in this case, serving everyone? So I believe it starts with recruiting, with training then, and then of course with discipline. right? You need discipline, and you need reward systems too. I'll never forget, about 25 years ago, a FedEx employee out of Memphis, their corporate area, their corporate headquarters, I believe, their center, he was working and someone needed medical stuff overnighted. I think it was something to do with medicine. And they couldn't get enough logistics in place to make this happen. Well, the employee, excuse me, rented or leased a helicopter. And it cost a few $100s, maybe more at the time. It must have cost more. Either a helicopter or a private plane um, to send this medicine. Well, he broke the rules. He wasn't supposed to do that. But when FedEx management understood what happened, they commended the employee. They said, you know what? You stuck to our values. And we know you broke the rules, but you broke the rules because you saw the principles, the core values. And they commended him. He took a risk. How many of you would take that risk, right? Well, I'm not suggesting you go that far in your job, but I am suggesting that you resist your bias. This employee, not public service at FEMA, in my estimation, should be dealt with severely. If in fact she said what she supposedly did in writing or said in writing. And it's one thing to say, be careful if someone's exhibiting any type of political propaganda or any kind of propaganda. It's one thing to say that, okay? To be quite honest with you, whenever I visit Austin, Texas, and I see everyone's sign in Austin, Texas, declaring a certain virtue, I'm skeptical by nature. I often say, I wonder if the opposite is true. You know, people who pretend to be, for example, virtuous, are they really that virtuous? What are they hiding? In other words, why do I say that? Well, because maybe I've been taken advantage of. When my father died as a kid in Newark, New Jersey, it was very difficult for my mom and me. And I found the people I lived with, which was mostly a Black community, to be good, honest, hardworking, transparent people. Others, believe it or not, who look more like me, were the ones who took advantage and lied to me and mom about things. Not that we weren't hurt by the Black community in some rare times, we were as well, because you see bad on good, transgresses race, ethnicity, it doesn't matter. Good and evil reside in all of us. So again, think about this, and let me ask you, how would you react? And how do you react on your job? Do you kiss up to your local politicians, your ombudsman, your assemblyman, your mayor? Do you play political favorites? Do you favor one group over another because of their religion, where they come from, or their skin color? That's sad if you do. That really is sad. And people like you shouldn't be in government, in my opinion. And I know I take a harsh line, but I think it's appropriate to remember that if you're serving in government, your biases need to be checked. It doesn't matter who that person is, who they marry, who they sleep with, what they do in their private life is their business. You treat them for the fact that they are a human being, a citizen, a member of the public. You treat them for who they are. And even if they're here legally or not, they're a human being, are they not? Treat them fairly. And that's our job as public servants. And it's getting harder because our leaders don't often exude the principles they should, or the virtues that they claim to have. So think about this. And when you do your reading, and as we kind of wind the course down and we start looking at organizational ethics, the Menzel book is excellent. I think that should be with every federal or, let's say, public servant, uh, executive, or manager. You should have that book always handy. Dusk is good too, but the Menzel book, I think, is something for the real leader to focus on. But again, let's not worry about organizational until we worry about individual. Remember, you can't have social justice. You can't have a social reawakening unless there, in my opinion, is a spiritual regeneration inside. Because we only reflect who we are in society. And if we're fakers, and if we can compartmentalize stuff, that's what we're going to get in government. That's what we're going to see in society. So whether you like the results of the election or who your leaders are, my friends, it's a reflection of us. Okay? Let's hope that we can regenerate ourselves. And by regenerating ourselves and our families and our neighbors and our communities into being good people, good critical thinkers, not all thinking the same, but working for the good. That's how we're going to change. And that's where the politicians miss it. That's where the current so-called leaders miss it. And I think sometimes on purpose, because by keeping a people divided, they stay in power. By keeping us arguing one with another, keeps them in power because we don't focus and hold them accountable. So think about this, okay? So I hope to catch you on another video. Stay well. If you have any questions, let me know how things are progressing. Okay? Thank you.